Calling our pre-city commission meeting to order at 8 a.m. Thank you all for coming out this morning. Hopefully everyone's had a good week. We know it's been a very rainy week, and so I do want to thank city manager, staff, and everyone that has done all you can to help alleviate the flooding and other stormwater issues in the city, safety issues as a result of that. So I just thank you all diligently for all of your diligence this week in doing that and being able to end the week on a good note. So let's look at our agenda for this upcoming meeting. It's good to see we're going to have some Employee of the Month awards on there. So staying with retroactive there. You can actually go down to new business, the discussion and possible approval to hold one commission meeting in
Mayor,
November.
if I may, we left off one thing too. Under C, under my report, it should be a stormwater update.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll need to put that.
And what we've talked about is having a stormwater update at the first meeting of each month. At our 9 a.m. meeting, we'll have a stormwater update just to keep the citizens apprised of what we're doing as it relates to stormwater and provide some transparency and accountability on how the funds are being utilized. But again, as I continually encourage us, is for us as commissioners within our pockets of influence to make sure that we're communicating the proper information. That hey, just because we've paid these taxes this year doesn't mean that your particular property is going to be taken care of as it relates to stormwater. But doesn't mean it's going to be fixed overnight. Bids still have to go out, funds still have to be matched, things still have to be financed. So still a work in progress, but city manager and staff will continue to keep us updated on that at least once a month. So thank you for catching that, city manager. We do have an approval for the beautification board application for Ms. Shelley Frazier on the consent agenda. Any questions about that? All right. Getting back to the new business, city managers proposing sort of in the tradition of what we've done to have one commission meeting in November and one commission meeting in December. And if there's something that's pertinent that we need to address, then we can call a special meeting for that as well. If we go forward with these two meetings. Any questions about that? Concerns?
And this is something we have done every year, and I was going to actually ask Kevin, can we move that to consent agenda? Did anyone have a problem with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
If I move it to consent agenda?
That's pretty much standard. You don't do the week
Yes.
of Thanksgiving or week of Christmas.
Okay, so we'll move that to consent agenda if you all don't mind.
All right. Agenda item number 11 is going to be discussion and possible approval of license and indemnification agreement between the city of Lynn Haven and Havenwood Gardens. So, back in August, we had several rain events in August, and so we received many phone calls, emails from the Havenwood residents. Went out to meet with the Havenwood facility manager there, and he took me around to show me the flooding and different things that were in their area. And literally, I mean, the water was up to your knees, as you went through. And so came back, talked with city manager about it. Of course, it's on private property, so we ourselves cannot do anything as a city. But what we did do is met with city manager, met with Mr. Baker, met with Mr. Lightfoot, and also brought in Mr. Grimsley. So we're able to go back to the site, meet with the owner, Mr. Grimsley, his facility manager. All of us were able to sit down and sort of come to a resolution on things that he can do to help with the stormwater issue. And so one of the things that he would that he's actually going to do is dig a ditch that's behind his property, and he's just asking that if he could keep the dirt from the ditch for us. And so in digging the ditch, it's my understanding that we're going to have inspections and things, provide oversight on our part to make sure that is dug properly, and that after digging the ditch, then I believe we'll be the ones to maintain the ditch after it's dug. But the initial $180,000, I forgot the exact cost of it, he would actually pay that if we just let him keep the dirt. And so that's that's sort of the overview of that. And I think it's a win-win. It keeps that owner accountable for trying to make sure he can do what he can to mitigate stormwater in his area. And it also gets us a ditch. So I think, that's a win-win.
What's he want to do with the dirt? Just out of curiosity.
He's already got a plan to sell it to somebody. Yeah,
Man,
so
selling some dirt.
I mean, he's obviously, if he's going to spend, over $100,000, he has a turnkey in place already. But after talking with, Chris and Bobby about it, I mean, it would just be a burden for us to have to try to find something to do with the dirt. If we said, no, we're going to keep the dirt, then we would have to find something to do with the dirt. And so it's just easier to let him just go ahead and basically haul it
That's a
off.
benefit to us.
It absolutely is a benefit to us. And I think the agreement, Christian, you can come on up, and any other details that we want the commission to know, please share those right now in terms of the agreement. Kevin, myself, and Chris kind of read it over. Chris sat down with Mr. Grimsley to make sure he was in agreement with everything there. And believe it or not, when we did meet with him, he had really put some thought into what other things he could do. And he also said, it's kind of the first time the city has really sat down and met with him and tried to work out these problems. So we were all on the same page about something needed to be done. And he proposed this. And so asked Public Works to meet with him to make sure all of the technical side of the agreement, what he was going to do, was in line. So Chris, if you have any other information to just give to the commission.
And in your packet as well as there's a set of plans for the ditch. I mean, he's not just going to dig a random ditch. We actually have a set of plans done. It's got 4 18-inch pipes in it too to equalize it. And he's taking care of all, piping, all the minor dams, everything there. He also has to have a bond in case he, fails to complete the work or something that we can file on his bond. That's part of the agreement here. But he is ready to go as soon as the commission approves it complete inspect.
So we don't have to pay anything for this?
And it's in your packet here, we use the
Yeah.
push button prices. So the estimate, if we were to do this based on the quantities and the dirt and everything, is one contractor was $164,000, and that's without sodding or grass. And another contractor was $227,000.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
So the only reason we're doing this is the agreement with the ditch, that we clean it out after he gets it done. and all
Yeah,
that.
I mean, he's going on to our stormwater easement and making an improvement and
Okay.
keeping the dirt, but it's something we otherwise wouldn't have the
That's
money to
exactly
do,
right.
it would take a few years for us to be able to budget.
and get that project on the list. Yeah.
Okay.
And his intent too is he has pumps ordered. So if anybody went by there yesterday, he's built the wall, he's built a driveway to keep water from Florida Avenue onto the property. The intent, I think he has 6 pumps ordered, so he will pump basically the water that's inside to this ditch to get it out.
It's been a mess. I know that. It's been a
I mean,
mess
he
over
has
there.
put a lot of money and time into fixing this. So this is just another step of that.
Good.
Thank you, Chris.
So yeah, I think that's one great improvement for our stormwater. Number 12, discussion and possible approval to award the ditch digging services to King Contractor Services.
You can come up and, Chris, you should have stayed up here. This is also something that
Sorry, take your time.
This is also something we talked about. This is going into our new, excuse me,
Is this the one we were talking at the table before when I was here?
I think so, about the ditch digging. And we did budget some money in our stormwater budget for ditch digging. And there is a plan. And so Chris is going to share a couple of things with
So
you.
this is in your packet too, but I printed one out to make it easier to see today too. Here's the zone map that we've used from other things to kind of transcribe to.
Here, I've seen it.
So you'll see each zone's kind of labeled here, and on the legend here, the contractor is going to do zones 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 12. And then the city, our staff will continue with 6, 7, and 10. And we received 4 bids Tuesday. We have one, our lowest bid was 75 cents per foot. That's with the contractor excavating with their equipment and the city providing a dump truck and a driver. and $3 a foot for the contractor to excavate and provide a truck and driver. At $3 a foot, even the higher price, using $3 a foot, I mean, we can't do it for that. So, and they will dump all the spoils at our yard off Britton Road. And we'll continue to work through it. And having the zone map too, we have a lot of residents that call, to get their ditch dug, and we can say, hey, we've got, 30 work orders in front of you, but having the zone map that we're gonna start the contractor in zone 1, we can actually tell people, hey, they're working in zone 1 this week, we anticipate them being done there in a week and a half and moving to zone 2. And they'll start kind of here at zone 1 in this corner, and they'll work basically all the way to 77, and then they're gonna come down, so they're gonna 1, 2, 4, 8, and 11, and then they'll swap sides of 77 and work their way back up. But they'll basically walk their equipment through the whole city.
You know about what the total cost is probably gonna be?
So there's 216,000 feet of ditches. We've got a couple different options. At some point, we will be doing where our driver is on them. So some will be 75 cents a foot, some will be $3 a foot. We've set a certain amount in the budget that we're gonna do. So we plan to do, if we calculated everything the way we anticipate it going, we should have about 150,000 feet of ditches dug with this.
Okay, but you have no idea how much it's gonna cost, or?
Well, like 75 cents a foot or $3 a foot. I mean, $175,000 is what we're shooting for.
Okay.
And we just didn't want to use up everything in our budget because, budgeted in that is $250,000 in stormwater for this.
Right.
But we know that there are some other things come up. So we want to keep that under that 175 if we can.
And you have an idea when they'll be done? I know it's gonna be a while. I'm not expecting it to be done
The
tomorrow.
contractor's shooting for
45 miles
4,000 feet a week. That's what he wants to get done. So once this is approved, Kevin will give a contract and agreement written up, and he will probably start on the 1st of November. If everything goes to plan, he'll get his locates called in, and 15 weeks was about the majority of it. No rain.
So you're talking about a year and a half?
15 weeks.
Oh, 15 weeks.
4,000 feet a week.
Oh, wow.
And there's 216,000
that'd be
feet?
50-something weeks, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
54
well, I'm
weeks.
talking for what we had budgeted.
Oh, okay.
We're not going to be able to do it all.
Yes.
Just what we
I
budgeted.
got you.
Unless the commission
Oh.
wants to come back and say do it all, we'd
Yeah,
be more than
yeah.
happy.
I'm-
How about the other zones?
So the other zone, so zone 7, we've got about 80% of that dug already between city staff and some of the contractor stuff we did this year by the hour. Zone 12, there's not too many ditches in zone 12. It's a lot of, inlets and stuff. There's a few ditches there. Same with zone 11 and zone, about half of zone 6 has ditches. The other half has culverts. So even though you see all the zones here, there's a lot of them that aren't, it's piped in the newer areas and not ditches.
So I guess if you could, if possible, explain to us a little bit, because I'm not sure if all of us actually read the bid, because it was online, so I didn't go and read it. So if I'm understanding the bid, this is actually more like a 10-year project, maybe?
Correct. I mean, we will bid this out again next year, and award it to our same contractor or another contractor, whoever, wins that bid, and we'll continue to move forward with this. I mean, this will be something that is ongoing. I mean, once we dig the ditches out, you don't have much time before they're ready to be dug out again. So it'll be
It's like being an
continuously.
aircraft there.
Because remember, one of the things that we have to do here is have maintenance of these ditches in order for us. I mean, it does no good if we clean them out and then we don't maintain them. And so that's part of the stormwater master plan, is that we have to do the maintenance on them. And you'll see that almost every year in the budget, some money set aside for that, as well as those projects, both micro and macro projects that we'll be doing. So Chris is going to share a lot more with you on Tuesday on stormwater update of what we're doing and what our plans are. We sat down last week, he and Bobby and I went through kind of where we want to show you our plan going forward, and I think you'll be pleased with that as well.
And also, once the contractor gets started, about 2 weeks after he takes off, our back truck will be coming behind him and cleaning out, he digs the ditches, and then we have to clean out the driveway culverts and the inlets there. So the back truck will be rolling right behind him, and that'll be our back truck and our staff going behind him.
And this is all being done by King Tractor?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Chris about this?
No?
you, sir. All right, number 13 is going to be a development over application from North Bay Header Carter Academy regarding the Marine and Science Administrative Building. Any questions about that? Concerns?
So it looks like it went back to the planning board and they voted 5-0 for
Yeah,
it now.
it was, I was there and, I know Brandon showed up and it was more a matter of I think if Larry had been there the first time, it probably would have never happened. They were really happy with everything that he was able to explain and it was really
It's a no-brainer.
no-brainer.
Well, I'm glad it happened that way, because now I think we're setting a precedence that people understand the importance of them going to the planning board.
Now,
To-
are they invited to these meetings whenever they turn in their applications?
Yeah, I talked to,
Yeah, and the engineer knows about it. So the engineer was there,
Okay,
but he just didn't bring, and that's sort of common where if you don't think it's going to be controversial or whatever, you just send your engineer and not the actual applicant, but
right.
it didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Not that it was controversial, they just had some
Yes.
misinformation.
Yeah, and I think that there is information, had the representative been there that could share, that would have made it a lot more clear.
Yeah, but they all know about it.
good.
So, no questions about that. Any questions about development or application for Diego's Burrito Factory? Number 14.
There was no questions about that at the planning board either. That was sailed right through.
Everybody was excited for chips and cheese.
Like an ice cream sandwich. I go, oh,
Thank you.
he wanted a biscuit, but that'll do.
Are there any other pertinent issues or matters we need to address?
So I know we discussed this at the last meeting, the, 11/17 with the plats.
Yeah, so Amanda was on vacation, so when she gets back Tuesday, I'm going to stay after the meeting and meet with her.
Okay.
And the plan is to get, basically get that reorganized and send it back to planning board for the 1st November. I think whenever the planning board meets next, it'll go back to them and then come back to us. She was on vacation.
The only other thing I had was, I'm just going to say this, that I know the city worked really hard with all this rain and that the other day, but I was really disappointed in the Bay District schools. I thought they made a bad decision about people going to schools and that. And so, do they normally call us or anything when they make those decisions, or they just, how do they normally make that? Do we know?
No,
They're their own entity.
they don't call any of the cities and say, hey, they make that decision.
But I know you talked to
Yeah,
them that
I
morning
did.
and
I did.
explained your concerns.
I did.
And,
And,
I didn't know if there's something we can put in place to
Well,
maybe,
it's the Bay District schools. They were on the news last night, and their representative said, each school makes their own decision based on the weather. I mean, there's times when the weather's absolutely horrible at the beach and it's fine in town. So they left it up to the individual schools. That's what they said on the news last night. So
I think Parker was closed too. Parker was the
I know the Lynn Haven Elementary, I was there yesterday afternoon, but Principal Cannon said that, it was literally a moat around the school yesterday
it was,
morning.
it absolutely was. And I
so-
did talk to Superintendent Husfeld and expressed my concerns. And one of his concerns was that when he shuts down all of the school, then it impacts the work industry, meaning people don't have anyone to, watch the children. And so they have to stay home, and it's just a snowballing effect. And I told him I really understood that and understand that our biggest problem is now when it rains like this, not only are we fighting stormwater issues, we're also fighting, Ricky's guys are out there fighting traffic and wakes and all of these things. So now we have two things we're fighting. And did express that to him.
well, to me,
Didn't expect it to be such an event either,
No.
on top of, you had 4 inches the day before, and then what we got. So it added up quick, but
and I understand all that, but my thing was a lot of this happened way before school was even opening up, and there was so many red flags that bad things could happen. We had flood warnings, we had tornado warnings, all the problems the city's dealing with. And then Tyndall Parkway, from my understanding, was a wreck. There was cars all over the place. And to me, it was a no-brainer because that, to me, was a safety thing. And I understand that's not our call, but I don't know. I was just disappointed in the whole thing. And I don't know. I can get with you afterwards, see if someone, I would like to talk to someone over there. Or I don't know if you want to talk to somebody. I don't want to step on your toes, but I just feel like this shouldn't happen again. And actually, they're pretty lucky because we had all that red cell stuff going on, and there was a little bit of green, and there was supposed to be another wave of red cell coming through, and luckily it broke up enough where that didn't happen. And if it did happen, who knows what would happen. So I think the school was lucky in that aspect, but yeah, I was just really disappointed in that whole thing.
There'll be an election again.
Well,
That's what everybody tells us. There'll be an election. So keep that in mind.
So, I can follow up with him and talk with him
I
to see
just,
to see actually what protocols they have in place to make those decisions. Like, does it have to be this extreme before they make this particular decision or not make those decisions? So
yeah. I just figured they coordinate with the cities and be like, hey, or something.
Really, the superintendent just makes that call.
They
He
usually
calls
makes that
whoever he feels he needs to call, and he makes that decision.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I know
bad call.
I know they did make it to where, I guess if you didn't want to take your kid to school or get
Yeah, it was
them out,
it was an
was
excused absence, and just say
absence, but-
it basically told them, wait till you feel it's safe and show up, and you'll have an excused absence. So.
but I'm
It was
not sure
too,
they did it.
to me, it was too dangerous out there for people to make that decision. Because I even went to try to leave my subdivision like really early in the morning just to see how bad it was, and I didn't get very far. And I told my wife, I said, I didn't tell my wife, I recommended to my wife that you don't go out. So,
And I guess one of the things, though we're just talking about the school, that isn't the only traffic that's on the road. So then we even have to look at, did our government shut down? So we're asking this entity to close, but then, of course, we can't close because we have to be out there,
yeah.
mitigating it. So then do we ask businesses to close because they're creating traffic? I'm not saying the school shouldn't have closed or been open, but that's not the
Right.
only traffic, that's on the road as well. So do
It's a
we,
good point.
are we just saying, hey, the whole, everything needs to shut down for a particular, amount of time until we can actually, until the roads are clear. So,
I think all you could do as a city is close roads. You're not
Yeah,
going
and
to tell
we did a
businesses
lot
to
of
close, but if
that.
you close
Absolutely.
That's true.
the right or wrong number of roads, it'll cause things to be closed.
But I just wanted to, I felt like I had to express that it was important to say something about it because I just think it could have been done a whole lot better. Not the city. I mean, I know we got our own issues that we're dealing with and we're trying to, fix everything and we got a long road to go, but I just think the school just exacerbated what we were trying to do.
Well, Husfeld never has any problems, so call him up, complain,
Oh, he doesn't?
being facetious there.
any other issues for concern to address? All right. If not, thank you all for coming. Meeting adjourned.